Hi, everybody. Thank you, Connie, for taking good care of us tonight on this Instagram Live edition of Solare Live. And this is Solare After Dark. I'm going to go live myself here so I can watch. Here we go. I can watch everybody. Thank you very much. Hey, Dave, my CPA wine drinking buddy. Thank you for joining in all of our Solare Live sessions. Believe it or not, this is our 6th one, I believe. We've done a really good one. In case you want to find these, you can go on YouTube. But our first one was really amazing. Petra, our Italian wine ambassador, did a wonderful tour of Italian wines. We're going to talk about that more in a moment. Then we had Filippo doing how to make lasagna. The famous Solare lasagna. Really, really good cooking class that we did last Saturday, or 2 Saturdays ago. Then we had my son Tommy doing Italian wine cocktails. That was a lot of fun. That was one of our top viewers. People definitely like watching cocktails being made, almost as much as they like drinking them. And as you may know, we actually can now do takeout of cocktails. If you ever would have thought that I'd be sitting here telling the world that, yes, you can come to Solare and Tommy's going to make you a craft cocktail or 2 or 3, and we can package it up, and you're going to put it in your car, and you're going to drive home, and in the safety of your home, you're going to open that up and enjoy a Tommy cocktail, all legally, I would be shocked. But I think our government is doing a really good job of finding the right balance during this crisis. And we can do that too. But anyways, I digress. Last Tuesday, we had Italian cocktails. Then we had a really great session, a smaller session, focused on polenta. And so Chef Filippo did a whole section on how to make polenta, the best polenta. And that was really well received. People have been ordering it ever since. And then on Saturday, my other son, my older son, the father of my granddaughter, did a great cooking class on making pizza at home. People love that as well. And now we're doing Solare After Dark. I'll talk more about it later on, but we're also going to be doing our next Solare Live on Wednesday. And on Wednesday, it's going to be a combo at a socially safe distance apart, a combo of Tommy and Petra doing Italian wine, but it's really going to be from the focus on how to taste it. What does it mean to taste the differences between old world and new world? The different varietals. They're extremely good at that, better than I am, and so they're going to do a great session. That's going to be this Wednesday, 4:30. If you wanted to know a little bit more about Italian wine, and especially the tasting of Italian wine, that's going to be happening. So, thank you guys very much for joining. I'm looking at the phone here to see who's come in. My friend Chainsaw joined. Brad, my tequila drinking buddy. Just so you know, over the course of the evening, I will be opening up or drinking a little bit of this Fortaleza winter blend. Connie, if you want to pan out, I just want to be really clear. I enjoy wine. I enjoy the world's best tequila. I don't drink beer that much, but I do drink beer. I don't normally have all this in front of me when I get home. I'm simply doing it to show you some of the things that I like. And so please do not think that this is my normal office. I mean, sometimes it is my normal office, but not all the time. So I just want to be clear. But anyways, my buddy Brad knows all about that. Corinne, hello Corinne. My friend Dave Finley from Escondido, thanks for joining. Peggy and Jeff, thanks a lot for coming. I'll miss some. I'm trying to watch it the best I can. Don Fulano, yes. If you want to talk about another good tequila, Fortaleza, I've been associated with those guys for a long time. My very, very good friend, Guillermo Souza, may be watching down in the state of Jalisco, Mexico, in the town of Tequila, on his ranch there. His amazing son, Billy, lives right here in San Diego with a great family. Go Mackenzie. But yeah, another good tequila is my friend Sergio with Don Fulano. And he just joined from down in Guadalajara, Mexico. So we have people from all over North America, maybe all over the world that are joining in, and welcome. I also want to let you know that we do have a special guest. um, my good friend Edwin Rial. Those of you that are plugged in with the dining scene are very familiar with Edwin. He's the founder of Eating and Drinking in San Diego, which is a Facebook group, also on Instagram, but it's primarily a Facebook group of really people in the industry, but also non-industry people that are really foodies. So my good friend Edwin's going to be on shortly. So give me a moment here. Let me see if I can get him plugged in. Yep, we have Easy Eating and Drinking in San Diego just joined. Hey, Edwin. Hey, my good friend Bill, thank you. Great organic produce. Say hi to Betsy for me. Oh, my friend Alistair. Hey, Alistair from Montreal. Thanks, guys, for joining. Okay, let's see here. I think I can make a invitation to, or you'll see, when you see the offer come out, Edwin, just go ahead and push on it, and we'll have you on the line. You're going to see it on yours, Connie, so go ahead and watch for Edwin to come on in. Until then, I just want to say a few words about the situation that we're in. I'm going to keep it pretty brief, because everybody, including me, is just constantly inundated with the news that's happening. I just simply want to give you my perspective from my little side of the world, but my little side of the world also includes 41 team members that I have. So at the time that the outbreak took place, I had 41 people reporting to me in Solare. It really does take a village to run an organization like Solare. I'm really sad to say that the majority of the team are servers, are bussers, dishwashers for all the dishes that we use during the course of meal service. Clearly, there's no opportunity for them at the moment.
Edwin right now.
Oh, thanks, Edwin.
Yes.
So there's no have them come. So we're staying in close contact. I talked with about a third of the team today, and they all want to say hi, and I want to say hi to them.
There he is.
So we have Edwin on the line.
Yes.
Hi, can you hear me?
Edwin.
Hey, Edwin, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Randy. How are you?
Doing very, very well. Thanks for joining. Let me do a little bit of a warm welcome for you, Edwin, and then Edwin definitely jump in and say some words to the group. But it's my pleasure to introduce everybody to Edwin Rial. Very, very important person. Edwin, make sure you give some statistics on number of people on Eating and Drinking in San Diego, what you're doing there. But arguably, nobody in San Diego, not the fine folks at San Diego Magazine, not my good friend Troy Johnson, who's super smart on pretty much everything food in San Diego. There's probably nobody in San Diego that knows more about what's opening, what's closing, what's good, what's bad, who's helping the community, who's not. I mean, the true insider is my friend Edwin Rial. He also has a great events organization called Liquid City. Edwin, let's go back and forth in a minute, but I think I'd like to let you take a moment, talk about yourself, and don't be shy. For those people that don't know you, I want them to know just how incredibly awesome you are.
Okay, so I have a Facebook group, like Randy said, it's called Eating and Drinking in San Diego. It's got just under 16,000 people in it, and they're really like the people who are in the industry. They're working in it, they own businesses, Randy's in it, but they're also diners. And so it's a good mix of people checking each other. So unlike on review sites out there, where a review can go up and a restaurant doesn't really have any backing on it. Well, in this case, on this platform, the restaurant, the person responding next to your comment might be the bartender or the server that helped you last night. So in that way, it's self-policing. It's kind of positive in a lot of ways, right, Randy?
It is.
But
I get involved in that personally, so it's kind of an inside joke with Edwin and I. So.
There's a lot of knowledge that is that goes on because even today, 5 years after I created, I still find new restaurants that I've never even heard of in sometimes neighborhoods that I've never even heard of. So that's kind of fun. In the last 15 days, there's been a pivot on San Diego, or eating and drinking in San Diego, obviously with COVID, where instead of people sharing what they're eating, it's now become a platform for restaurants to share what they're doing. Because as any restaurant owner and operator can attest to right now, everything is changing, and the successful restaurants are the ones that have learned to pivot and pivot quick. And from what was it, Randy? At your restaurant, probably 90% dine in to 10% takeout. Now it's 100% takeout and delivery.
Exactly right.
So yeah, that's one thing I do. The other thing, like Randy alluded to, is Liquid City. Liquid City is we want to be known as Liquid City because we're no longer just a beer city. We have great cocktails here and great spirits. Mostra Coffee just won the Roaster of the Year award national for their coffee. We have $1 billion beer industry here, but there's also a lot of those old time brewers. They're getting into spirits, they're getting into roasting, they're getting into kombucha. So we are really Liquid City, and my company celebrates that by bringing in singular food items like cheese, or meat, or seafood. Those are our three major expos this year. And unfortunately, we are looking at a possible postponement of the Cheese Expo, which was slated for May 15th. But that's going to go on. We also have a Meat Expo. That's in October, right by you guys in at Solare. That's at Liberty Station. And then we also have a Seafood Expo this year.
Oh, is he still going? Okay. Thank you, Edwin. Yeah, sorry, a little bit of delay on my side here. But no, thank you, Edwin. And these events are awesome. So we did the cheese events with Edwin last time. It was great. I think we're also disappointed that a lot of these key events that folks like Edwin and myself and others are doing are being postponed, but they'll be back again. And they're going to be back before we know it. And that's why I wanted to make sure all of you had an opportunity to hear what Edwin had to say firsthand. I guess, Edwin, from your point of view, I guess what's been some of the most heartwarming things that you've seen happen during this this crisis? And don't say anything about Solare, but name one or two other places. I know I'm putting you on the spot, but if you want to, name a couple other places that people should really go to because of how much the ownership or the staff is really reaching out to the community.
So my number one hero right now is Tribute Pizza. Matt Lyons owns it. It's in North Park. The other day on Eating and Drinking in San Diego, someone mentioned how they got married and there wasn't a cake to be found on 2 hours' notice. Matt Lyons sees this on this thread on the group, and the next thing you know, he's baking them a cake. It made news the other day,
Yeah.
from a little where can I buy a cake right now at 8 o'clock at night to making the news 2 days later. That's a heartwarming story. The other one is Brant over at Social Tap. These guys have been donating to first responders, nurses. They've set up a system where if you buy a meal, a family meal, they'll give back a meal. There's a bunch of businesses like that, and you got to understand, like, a lot of these businesses lost 80% of their revenue overnight, and they still are so generous, which is totally everything I know about this industry. There's some of the, there are a bunch of super generous, community-oriented business owners that are like just doing everything they can to keep, us hanging there on a thread, essentially.
Yeah, I think that's what's so amazing. I mean, I know everybody's in the same boat as I am, and Edwin, hit it on the spot and on the dot, in the sense that, for a restaurant like Solare and the ones that he just mentioned, these are not takeout and to go and delivery places, and so there was a need to move quickly. And these guys all did step up, but in the process, they did it in a way to really help out their team, help out the community, help out each other. And that's really why I love what Edwin does, is he's really the the glue that kind of pulls us all together. And thank you again for doing that. Edwin, thanks a lot for joining. Again, everybody, if you haven't already, it's invitation only. But as long as you're not a hater, as long as you're not going to cause problems, which Edwin's all over if you do, you should request an invitation to join Eating and Drinking in San Diego on Facebook. It's really a fun group. If you say that you watch this Solare live broadcast with Edwin, I'm sure that's going to make it a whole lot easier because you'll be very much on the inside track. But it's really a good thing to do, and that's why I wanted to invite him along. You now know what he looks like. And if you go to any cool event in San Diego, there's a reasonably good chance that Edwin's there. Because I'll tell you, when I do a cool event, the first person I invite, well, maybe after Connie and my kids, after that, the person I invite is Edwin. So Edwin, I'm just inviting you again now. I told you earlier, every year in May, we do our Heart of Spring dinner. Come this year again to our Heart of Spring dinner in May, assuming we're back to normal by then, which who knows. It's going to be on May 31st, Heart of Spring dinner at Solare. I want you there. So that's what everybody's
such a great event.
I just wanted to give you a feeling of what his life is like. I was so glad he was able to join us tonight. Hey, Edwin, do you have any kind of final words before I let you get back to some of the events you're doing tonight?
So, support these restaurants. There's a bunch of Kickstarters, GoFundMes. Look for them. There's online tip jars. We've really got to help the small businesses of San Diego more than ever right now. It's such a critical component of our local economy. Think of all the breweries in town. Think of all the bars that you go to and the restaurants that you support, down to the cafes that you go to every morning. That's part of your routine. These are the things that you really miss right now as we are in quarantine. And when it's lifted, go and support them. They need it more than ever. They need you more than ever. And yeah, just say you're on. You saw me on here, and I'll fast track your membership to EDSD because there are 2,500 people waiting to get in. I like to keep it artificially at like 16,000, just because imagine hurting that many cats, guys. It's a crazy, crazy thing when there's hundreds of people every day talking about food, and it can get heated, but you will learn something.
Well, thank you, Edwin, for all you do. And I guess for those of you that think you have a hard time managing your email inbox or managing your Facebook page, Edwin realistically watches everybody commenting and posting across that many folks. And I'll tell you, if somebody gets out of line, if a hater gets on board or goes in a ridiculously commercial direction, Edwin shuts it down. So it's a really good group. So yeah, if you can fast track anybody, that would be great. If you don't get fast tracked, don't take it personally. Edwin's doing his best. Edwin, thanks so much.
That's Chuck. He's my new dog. He's been keeping me company this whole time. And thank you to Cheney Allen for saying hi to the dog.
Hey, that's actually my good friend Chris. He was my college roommate like 30 years ago.
You know, I just got this dog. He's a 7-month-old husky. I got him in October or something, and I don't know what I'd do without him right now. He's been keeping me company. My kid comes, and we go on these little outdoor walks just to keep us all refreshed and sane. But this dog, he's been a godsend.
It's so cute.
Great. Thank you very much, Edwin.
All right. Thank you so much.
I just want to welcome Jeremy from San Francisco. Thanks for joining again. And Kathy, thanks a lot. And I noticed that early in the beginning, my two sons, Brian and Tommy, both joined. Thanks, guys. Appreciate the family support. Yeah, one thing that I just want to highlight on this After Dark session, and it is After Dark. Did you show them the cool fire I got?
No, not yet.
Got this really cool fire on our outside patio. We live right in the heart of Little Italy. I live about 1 block away from Born and Raised, so it's really wonderful to be right here. After I get back from Solare, or before I go, to be able to walk around Little Italy is a great time. And then I go to Solare for some good food. Hey, just kidding, just kidding. Don't write that down. But one thing that Edwin did touch on is at Solare, what we're doing is every time you do a takeout or curbside, we talk from a social distance with the customers, and anything you can do on your gratuity to take care of the team would be good. Just so you know, the way that we're doing tips at Solare right now is it isn't for the people that are just working there that night. That's normally what we do. But what we're doing now is we're taking all the tips and we're putting it in a pool. Then what we're doing is we're looking to see how much everybody worked for the last 2 months. So let's say you worked 35 hours a week for the last 2 months. We add all that up. Then we add up what everybody worked, and everybody then gets a percentage. We think that's the fairest way to split it up. And then we actually have an algorithm, without being too technical, but I am a math major. We have an algorithm that then actually subtracts a little bit for the people that are working right now. Because a lot of the folks, they just don't have anything at all. And we want to make sure we take care of everyone. You've been so generous with the tips. Please consider that when you come in. Please spread the word that all the tips are being used for all the employees that are not able to be at Solare right now, in the spirit of holding them over the best we can until we can get everybody back to work, which hopefully will be sooner than later.
Howard wants to know where your cigar is.
Oh, I'm definitely going to have a cigar soon, so don't be afraid there. This is Solare After Dark. Anyways, let me just say a few more words, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, and let's have this be a fun back and forth. If somebody else wants to jump on the line, we can't have everybody, but we'll be watching that carefully. One other thing I just want to follow on from what Edwin said, just so you have a little bit of feeling of what it's like to walk in my shoes and my son's shoes, Tommy and Brian, as well as Filippo and Petra and Shauna and Elisa and Tiffany, is in sort of high-tech startup speak, we literally had to pivot overnight. So if you've heard the expression to pivot, what it means is you started a company, typically a tech company, and whatever you decided to do wasn't working. And so you have to come up with something else. Maybe you raised money, you still have some money in the bank, you still have a good team, but that thing you were going to do isn't working. And so the term then is when you go to something similar but different, you call it a pivot. You've pivoted over. And that's what we had to do in literally 24 hours. So I believe it was on Monday, October 16th, the day before St. Patrick's Day, the word came out, no more in-restaurant dining. Before then, we had moved all the tables to be the correct social distancing apart. But then on Monday, March 16, the word came down, no dining in at all. Everything had to be takeout, curbside, or delivery. Now, fortunately, we had done a lot of work in the month before that to be ready for it, but still, it was a big, drastic change. And I'll be honest with you, that was 2 weeks ago today. We're still getting everything all fine-tuned. From your point of view, everything should look flawless. I hope so. If not, call me and let me know. It's more internally, making sure that we're not kind of stepping on each other as we try to process the orders and do everything as efficiently as we can. But that's what we did. We also have a new menu, still a big, nice, rich menu. Go to our website. It's www.solarelounge.com. You should have no problem finding the menu. You'll see a lot of new, interesting things. We actually just added a really wonderful chicken marsala. I'm not talking some Italian-American airport chicken marsala. This is a chicken marsala with Chidori free-range chicken, designed by Chef Filippo, and we have these amazing wild porcini mushrooms. Forget about the chicken, forget about the marsala sauce. Those wild porcini mushrooms, really good. We have a tagliata we just added to the menu yesterday. This is a 21-day dry-aged beef. So good. Highly recommend it. We have our Fiorentina Steak yet. It's actually been a very good seller in these crazy times. We had somebody yesterday come with their family. They got the Fiorentina Steak raw. Chef Filippo explained how to prepare it in true Tuscan style. And they took it home, and they had a wonderful meal that we helped prepare for them. All the sides, but they cooked the Fiorentina themselves. We have great vegan dishes. I know I've been talking about meat. We have great vegan dishes. We have amazing soups, from our minestrone to our bone broth. Anyways, go check out our menu. It's really good. And the other amazing thing on the menu is we can do wine to go. So Solare's always been ready, willing, and able to sell all the wine we have in our store, in our restaurant. And we're still doing that, except now you can get it to go. And as I said, Tommy can do craft cocktails to go. And we do beer to go. So it's really, really wonderful. And I really want to thank my management team. Just so you guys know, my management team is made up of 7 people. First and foremost, we have my 2 sons, Brian and Tommy. Brian's in the kitchen, Tommy's the front of the house. We have Petra. Petra's been with me from day one. She runs events in the wine program. We have Filippo, Executive Chef Filippo, born and raised in Tuscany, my good friend. We have Elisa, takes care of all of HR, other back end to make sure the team is smooth. And then we have Tiffany, we have Shauna that are managing day in, day out. Shauna's at the restaurant right now. Hey, Shauna, trying to go clean up from the day. So I just want to thank those guys. Let me talk a little bit about the wine we're having. This is Solare After Dark. Hey, for me, it's 8:30 at night. For most of you, it's 8:30 at night. For my friend Alistair in Montreal, thanks again, Alistair, it's 11:30 at night. We're like the late night show for him. Let me show you some of the wines that I like a lot. The wine that I'm currently enjoying right now, and no, I do not typically drink 3 bottles of wine a night, but this first wine is from a great winery in Tuscany called San Felice. You'll see, I don't know if you can see it, but the wine's down to about there, but the cork is still in it. How do we do this? I have this amazing Coravin device that we use at the restaurant. I'm going to go ahead and pull it out. If you're not familiar with the Coravin and you love wine, you should give it a shot. So this wine right here, have not opened either, that I've just looked at. You'll see the cork still in it. That's because I'm using this really cool Coravin. So if you can see it, I know it might be a little bit dark, but basically right here is a needle. That needle goes into the cork. In this is argon gas, which is a noble gas. We only use noble gases with our wines. The reason it's called a noble gas, I believe there's only 8 of them, is because a noble gas is completely inert, meaning it doesn't react with anything else. You don't want a gas that's going to react with your wine. You want a gas that leaves the wine alone. Anyways, noble gas in here goes through this tube, through the cork. That allows it to put argon gas back in the bottle. So this wine will be good like a month later. So this very cool device called a Coravin, feel free to follow up with us if you're curious. We use it at Solare as well. Allows me to drink a glass of this amazing Campo Giovanni Brunello wine, a Brunello. You know them, comes from Tuscany, 100% Sangiovese. Cork still in it. Cork was never removed. The oxygen was replaced with the argon gas. That bottle right there, I could open it up a month and a half from now and it'll taste as good as it does tonight. That's how I could have 3 bottles of wine in front of me. The next one I'm going to show you is our beautiful Spanish wine, Rioja. That's right here next to me. That's the next one I'm going to sip on. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm only going to tell you this on a Solare After Dark. This is my favorite wine in the world. Italian wine is not my favorite wine in the world. I probably know the most about Italian wine than anything else. I know the 20 regions. I know most of the varietals. I know how to pair it. But if you ask me, Randy, you're on a desert island. You're only allowed to have wine from one place in the world. I know that's a hard thing, but what is it going to be? It's going to be my Tempranillo from Rioja, and it's probably going to be my good friends here at La Rioja Alta. If you want to learn more about Spanish wine, ask me, but you're not going to find them at Solare. Isn't that weird? My favorite wine region in the world that I like more than anything else, I do not sell it at Solare. Why? Because when I started Solare with my 2 sons, when I worked with Petra, our Italian wine ambassador, I wanted to have a strategy. And I'm going to talk more about why my sons and I did this. But I hate it when we go to a place that there just sort of isn't a reason for why the wines are there. I mean, if there's a hodgepodge, but there's a good reason, great. But there should be a reason for why the wines are there. The strategy we have at Solare, which has not changed one single bit in 7 years and 5 months, is our wine strategy is as follows. 75% of our wine is Italian. All 20 regions are represented. We're an Italian restaurant, have Italian wine. Not just regular Italian wine you can get anywhere, but really classic, hard to find, small family producers, the ones we seek out when we travel to Italy or we go to all the wine shows. That's 75% of everything we do. The other 25% is only West Coast, North America, Washington State, Oregon, California, and Baja. That's it. No wines from Spain, no wines from Australia, no wines from South Africa, no wines from France or Greece or Germany. They're all great wines, but I'm not going to try to find wine from all over the place. You come to Solare, you can get wine primarily from Italy. If you want to have wine from North America, you have wines from Washington, Oregon, California, and Baja. And there's some good wines from Baja. We'll talk about Baja again in just a few minutes. But that's the wines we have. So I've been drinking so far the Campogiovanni, again, a Brunello. And as you heard, it would be 100% Sangiovese. This wine right here is from a winery that's maybe, I don't know, 20 miles from where Filippo was born and raised. So it'd be like, this winery is in Escondido with my good friend, the Barley Man. And Filippo lives in Lakeside. That would be the analogy, right? So they can go by very, very closely. The next one I'm going to have, which I have right here, is the Great Tempranillo. The Great Tempranillo. What's that?
Move my phone over.
Oh, my producer is saying, move the phone. I was just trying to watch it on who's coming in. Anyways, I'm going to be drinking now this Great Tempranillo. Ask me about Spanish wines. I'll talk all day long. Why did we start Solare? First of all, it was in a moment of temporary insanity that's lasted 7 years and 5 months. And on a serious note, my two sons, which hopefully you know, or many of you know, Brian and Tommy, it was around summer of 2011, and we decided that we wanted to do a business together. Tommy was only 21 years old. Brian was 27 years old, I think. We decided we wanted to do a business together. We thought about all the different options. We quickly decided that a restaurant would be the way to go. Brian had a fair amount of experience in catering. Tommy was 21, so he'd been a bartender for a little while, for like 6 months before that. But otherwise, none of us had any restaurant experience at all. But we had the passion to make it work. And I have a lot of experience myself in starting companies. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, and let me bring my kids back in and the rest of our management team. So I was born in a log cabin in Youngstown, Ohio in 1959. And so you don't have to do the math. That makes me 60 years old. So if you come to the restaurant, be nice to me. I'm 60, getting older. Like I can go to Denny's and get the half-price meals or whatever they are. Anyways, after I was born in a log cabin in Youngstown, Ohio, and after I graduated from college, I made the decision to very quickly move out of Ohio before I got stuck there and move to the Golden State. I always wanted to move to California. Moved here. My degree was in mathematics. Didn't want to be a professor. Didn't want to be in some quant in some financial institution. So I entered into the wonderful world of computer programming. And I was a computer programmer in the cube doing assembler level programming with my friend Dave, who's on the phone here, and others. And I did that for about 9 or 10 years. Then I kind of worked my way into management. And then around 1995, I started a sort of a small startup within my company. I spun it out, sold it to somebody else. And that's really what I started my entrepreneurial career. Since then, I've started 5 companies. I've started those companies. I've created great teams. Started out typically at 4 or 5 people, grow them to about 40 to 100. Someone comes along and acquires my company. I then join the bigger company for a while. Then I get the bug to do a new company. I did it again, and I've been doing that since 1995. It has been fun. Now I still do a lot of angel investing. I work with tech companies every day. So my morning from around 7 o'clock in the morning until 2 is working with my software companies. Then from 2 o'clock till we close, I'm at Solare most days. And I'll be honest with you, I love it. I get to work with my 2 kids. They're amazing, filled with passion. They argue with me every single second. The only thing that makes me mad about that is they're usually right about 90% of the time. Drives me crazy. But anyways, we have a great relationship. We work together. We've been working through this crisis together, solving problems. It's been really wonderful. And the way that I started Solare was very much like I started my high-tech startups, meaning everybody sort of knew their role of what they did in the company, what we were trying to get done, really looking at it from the point of view of the customer. And that's really where I come in. So earlier, I don't know if he's still on because I'm not looking at my phone right now, but my very good friend, one of the best chefs in the world, is Chef Accurcio Lota. Accurcio started what is the best new restaurant in San Diego, Corey Pasta, located over in the North Park area. He's knocking the ball out of the park. I think he's joined the Solare Live tonight. Thank you, Accurcio. If you're there, still wave so everybody knows you're there and they can say hi as well. Anyways, Accurcio and I worked together. He was my executive chef. We had Tommy and Brian, the rest of the team, myself. We started off in October of 2012. And we made magic happen, just like we are today. And where the magic was between Accurcio and me, and then Accurcio left about 1.5 years ago to do his own gig, which was the exact right thing to do. He left about 1.5 years ago to do his own gig, and I became the second luckiest guy to be able to then bring in Chef Filippo Piccini. So Accurcio is from Sicily, so we had a special Sicilian spin to the restaurant. Now we have Filippo Piccini from Tuscany. We have a special Tuscan spin to it, which makes Petra very happy. She put up with the Sicilian, but she's happy to be back to the Tuscan flavor. But being able to team up with these guys is great because I do not know how to prepare dishes for 350 people in an evening. And I don't know how to do that where you have no food waste. And I don't know how to do it where everybody's not cutting and burning each other. I don't know how to do it in a way that's always creative. These guys know that. But what I bring to the table is, back to my background in high tech, I spent about 30 years of my life traveling 90% of the time. So from 2004 until 2012, I was on the road 90% of the time. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm talking about only, you can ask my kids, only being in San Diego maybe 6 or 7 days a month. And that's including weekends. So what that means is for 30 years, every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner was eating out. And all of my companies were very international in focus, in size and in the customers. So this is going to sound way more romantic than what it is. But typically, once every 2 or 3 months, I'd get on a plane and I'd fly to Tokyo. Then I would go to Osaka. Then I would go to Beijing. Then I would go to Guangzhou. Then I would go to Shenzhen. Then I would go to Tokyo. Then go to Hong Kong. Then I would go to Singapore. Then I'd go to India. Then to Germany. Then to Europe. And then back to the United States. I would do that like 5 times a year. So not only was I able to be enjoying some of the best restaurants, but also in the best cities and doing it over 30 years. So I saw the trends. I saw what worked and didn't work. I saw the restaurants that succeeded. I was the feet in the seat, knowing what service worked and what didn't work. So with Chef Accurcio and Chef Filippo, they eat out all the time. We all do. But very few people have the privilege that I did to eat out to that extent. So what I bring to Solare is, what does it mean to be the customer, right? Especially the customer that comes all the time. The customer that wants This perfect blend of, if I like it, I want to see it there again, but boy, you better mix it up all the time. It's like a romantic relationship. That's what makes a romantic relationship so hard. Remember, this is Solare After Dark. This is what romantic relationships so hard. You want that stability, but you don't want it to be boring. But you also don't want it to be so exciting that you never know what's going to happen the next day. So getting that perfect balance is really, really hard in a relationship. It's really hard at a restaurant also. And hopefully at Solare we have that good balance. We have dishes like our risotto and scallops that never change. As long as I'm there and Tommy's there and Brian's there, it's not going to change. People love it. But we change our menu every week with new specials. So if you like our risotto or scallops, or you like our lasagna, it's always going to be there. But if you want to try different things, you're going to get that. And the creativity that Chef Filippo brings is great. So that's why we started the restaurant. Brian and Tommy and I are still together 7.5 years later. They are rock stars. The rest of my management team has been there with me almost from the beginning. As you guys know, the ones that come to Solare often, my team has hung with me. Thank you guys. It makes all the difference in the world. It's been huge. So Solare, to a certain extent, is a startup. And I think to a certain extent, that's why it's really worked well. I think restaurants that are started by people that have always been in the restaurant business definitely have the advantage that they know the business, they know the numbers, they know the economics on it, but maybe they don't always think about it to the same extent as somebody that for 30 years sat in the seat as a customer and now is an opportunity to really to make those customers happy. And we really try to do that very hard. It's a manual business. We make mistakes. Every dish is done by hand. Sometimes we have, this happened or that happened, or we run out of this, and it doesn't go as well as we want. But we really, really try hard. And when we do make a mistake, we do have a culture at Solare where we're not ashamed to admit it. If I walk up to any of my team members and go, hey, that didn't work well, you made a mistake there, this is the feedback of the customer, I'm not saying that they don't get defensive occasionally, because we're all human, but we have a culture where people are like, oh, tell me what happened, I'll try to figure it out. And I don't give them a hard time. They're not written up. I know these people. If they make 1,000 dishes, yeah, 5 of them might not be perfect. That's just how this business works. But it's a culture where they learn from it. And by giving that feedback, well, maybe the next 1,000, maybe only 4 don't go perfect. And so please give us feedback. If it's positive feedback, I'd really like you to do it on Yelp and all of those other things. If it's negative feedback, hey, you know how to get a hold of me. Just send me an email at randy@solarielounge.com. Connie, we have a note.
Alistair wants to know, he says, you are also very curious. Is that an essential skill for running a restaurant?
Curiosity. I believe that it is in the biggest way, because if you're not curious, you're not learning new things. So for example, whenever we have salmon on our menu, I and the rest of my team are super curious to know, where did it come from? How long can it stay? How often do we have to get more? How do we describe it to the customer? We're super curious about where it came from, in many cases down to the fishermen. We have a new kind of vegetable that we want to propose. Where did that vegetable come from? How did it get to the United States? When did it get included into the dish? You look at something, we were just talking about it the other day, polenta. Polenta has been around forever in Italy. But right now, polenta, when you think of polenta, 99% of the time, it's cornmeal. Well, Italy didn't have cornmeal until the New World was discovered, and they started bringing corn back from what is now Mexico. Hey, I'm really curious about all this. So what was the polenta beforehand? It was all sorts of other grains, right? Other ancient grains. Then when corn came, the Italians, it really wasn't Italy then, it was a million different kingdoms. Italy just went crazy with cornmeal. And so cornmeal became the polenta from there on. And so being very curious about things is really what makes it work. One more question.
It's not really a question. Well, kind of. Randy, I've always wondered how you picked the location. You were a pioneer in Liberty Station.
Oh, very good question, because I am kind of anal retentive. I am pretty scientific. My older son, Brian, is even more so. He's the researcher. He knows how to do this stuff. So just so you guys know, when we were deciding to do the restaurant, it was basically February 2012. From February 2012 until we decided on Solare, we actually looked at, on the internet, we looked at over 400 different locations. We personally visited over 70. Our original design was, hey guys, let's walk before we run. Let's just do a small coffee shop. Maybe only be open for breakfast and lunch, very small location, and then we can just kind of grow from there. The last thing in the world we wanted to do was Solare. We specifically said we shouldn't do a place with alcohol. Let's keep it simple. Get some experience under us. Everything about Solare was the exact opposite of what we said we were going to do. It's kind of like dating again, another thing. I'm not going to date that person. And then you end up dating that person, right? Anyway, so we walked into Solare. We saw the location. We saw Liberty Station. I had a lot of confidence based on what the people running Liberty Station said it could be. So we made a big bet on Liberty Station. Because in October 2012, I'm just telling you, and I'll tell you quickly, it was a ghost town. Nobody knew about Liberty Station. Half the people I talked about thought it was in, southern San Diego, Imperial Beach, Chula Vista, maybe out in Santee area. Hey, is that up by Carlsbad? Nobody knew where it was. That all changed when Stone went in. That made a big difference. All of a sudden it was on the map. Then when the lot went in, then we started receiving some awards. It then grew into prominence, and we couldn't be happier. But that's the quick story. Maybe not so quick. That was the story on how we got Liberty Station in place. Let me show you the last wine. Again, we use the Coravin. We do a lot of great, wonderful wine dinners at Solare. Just like our wine list is 75% Italian, our wine dinners are as well. Before the whole outbreak happened, we were doing about 2 wine dinners a month. We've been doing that for about 5 years. And right now, all of our wine dinners are postponed, as you can imagine. But we're looking forward to getting those wine dinners going. But this is a Barolo. So I love the Brunello and I love the Barolos. And I love others as well. Big fan of Amarone. What Mount Etna is doing in Sicily is incredible. Have a great aged Sagrantino from Umbria. I'm all over it. This is one, though, I like because our good friend Daniele Conterno of the Conterno family, he produces this wine. He was at Solare. He did one of our last wine dinners. It's a great wine. So I wanted it to open up while I'm with all of you guys. So that's on the wine side. I just wanted to share what's happening there. A couple of things, and I know that we're going to be wrapping up in just a few minutes, maybe in about 10 minutes or so. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to come on in. And I'm going to also talk a little about some of the tours I do. I think you might find that interesting. What I'm going to do now, though, I hope nobody minds, is I'm going to light a wonderful, handmade, beautiful cigar from the Dominican Republic that's really delicious. The things I really like, and this is something that's been kind of part of my life for about 35 years during all the travel that I've been doing, is I really love, I guess, things that are pure. And what I mean by that is I really love, for example, green teas from China. A really good Longjing tea from China, incredible. Every single day, I take out my whole leaf Longjing tea from Hangzhou, China, and I brew myself several pots of that. So healthy, so good. And during my travels, I've had the opportunity to visit the tea plantations and to visit it firsthand. But I like the green tea because it's pure. I love wine. Wine is just the essence of the grape. I love the terroir that shines through. I love the passion of the winemaker. I love the fact, back to what Alistair asked on curiosity, I like the fact that when you like wine, it isn't just about getting a little bit inebriated or being with friends. But if you really like wine and you're curious, you're going to read about the region. You're going to read about the winemaking process. You're going to learn about fermentation. You're going to learn about how the barrels are made. It's just great, great fun. The reason I love tequila and the reason that I admire my friend Guillermo and his family, Billy and Mackenzie and Mitch and everyone, right? My good friend Chris. The reason I love these guys is they are making a pure beverage. Every single drop in this bottle is liquid agave. It's not blended with anything. There's no other spirit out there that's 100% pure. Think about it. Rum. Could be with sugar cane, molasses, some mix. You have no idea. Vodka, by definition, no idea what's in it. Maybe it's potatoes. Maybe sugar beets. Even a really good single malt scotch, it's probably going to have different malts, rye. Who knows what's in it? You look at something like gin. Again, by definition, you have a bunch of neutral spirit. You throw in juniper berries and 12 other things you don't know what it is. The only spirit that's pure is a 100% agave beverage. Every drop in that bottle right there is nothing but an agave plant that's been squeezed free of its juices. Those juices have been fermented, they've been distilled, they've been put back in that bottle. It comes from one species of agave plant, and if you drink this, you know exactly what you're drinking. And the reality is green tea is good for you. I believe wine is good for you. Tequila, 100% agave tequila is good for you because if you go into a Whole Foods, you're going to see a whole shelf of agave-based nectars. And I'm not sitting here saying that drinking alcohol is good for you. I know that alcohol itself is a poison. But if you're going to drink alcohol, you can't drink a better one than 100% agave tequila because you're drinking the agave itself and it's good for you. Your body is designed to digest it. It's really, really amazing. Question, Connie?
Wasn't a question. Rebecca Kroll keeps chiming in. She really misses Solare. She really loved your Bit North talk with your Fortaleza. She really, really loves being with you and you sent her to Saddleback when she was here last time.
Saddleback Winery up in Napa. Go to Saddleback Winery.
Yep. Alistair is chiming in. He's just joking about you.
Okay.
Brad is waving hello. Howard's waving hello. Dave is waving hello.
And I just lit a cigar. Many of you may be going like, okay, I get the wine, sort of get the tequila, understand this 100% agave thing, sort of. Understand the green tea. Talk to me about cigars, Randy, because I'm not sure that fits into the puzzle. It does. This cigar right here, if you want to zoom in, 100% hand rolled. Never touched a piece of metal. If I were to cut this open, it's nothing but tobacco leaves. No additives whatsoever. Everything about this process is made with love, no additives, and so on. The other thing about a cigar is you don't inhale it. Yes, I get tobacco smoke in my mouth. I realize there's health, risk to anything. But this is, if you're going to smoke something, this is a very healthy thing to do. Let me tell you why I really do it. For those of you that know me, I run around like a madman from 6:30 in the morning until a time at night that I don't even want to share. I am running around like crazy. And when I stop to do something, I'm still looking at my phone. I'm still checking on this. I'm doing an email here or there. But when I light a cigar, it's usually with good friends of mine. John, Howard, Chris, Dave, Pete, my friend Ben in Escondido. We sit down and we enjoy a cigar. All of that stuff goes away. I am not looking at my phone, except right now on Instagram Live. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm talking about politics, religion, love, relationships, wine, travel. It's just a way, it's almost like my way of meditating. Because this cigar right here is going to take me about 45 minutes to enjoy. And that's going to have me just stop for 45 minutes and just enjoy life and just relax, collect my thoughts, and not always just be flying along to the next thing. So I really love green tea. I really love good wine. I really love a 100% agave tequila. Obviously, Fortaleza is the way to go. Go Guillermo. And I really love a nice cigar. Connie.
Steve is saying hello. Natalie says hello. Sean Shaw is in there. Petra's on here. Dave's on here.
Thank you,
They're
everybody.
all saying hello, sending you love.
Well, I'm going to keep this to 1 hour. So I'm going to go ahead and close out now. Let me close on something fun. One thing I do, besides the software companies and working at Solare, is I love doing tours. I'm clearly not doing tours right now, but I did have a tour. Petra and I and Tommy and Connie had a tour to Tuscany that we had all lined up and all ready to go and sold out for April 24 to 29. Not happening. I'm now working with all those people to get refunds back. I took care of everybody that was all signed up, but I can't wait to do tours again. So if you want to join me on a tour, you just let me know. We're going to be doing, the tours I tend to do would be in different areas of Italy. We're talking Piemonte, we're talking Tuscany, we're talking Sicily. I've done 3 tours in Sicily. We're talking Spain, Rioja, Navarra, the Basque Country. I don't mean to be arrogant, but if you want to travel to Rioja and the Basque Country and Navarra, you want to do it with me. I've done the running of the bulls 5 different times, meaning at the event. I've run about 25 times on the Encierro. I know this region. I'll show you Rioja in northern Spain. It's great. Tommy and I also lead tours down to Baja wine country, Valle de Guadalupe. We'll be starting those as soon as we can, only when it's safe. And finally, every year for Dia de los Muertos, I take a small select group down to Jalisco, Mexico. We fly from Tijuana to Guadalajara. We go to the small village of Tequila. We hang out with my friend Guillermo. We have the best time. That's what we need to do once this coronavirus is done. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on our first Solare After Dark. And thanks to Connie for doing the broadcast. See you all soon.